disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. Well, just when you thought Alberta was some sort of unique oasis outside of the just insanity that comes from the rest of Canada, people think that Alberta is, stepping up to the plate of independence and, they're on the right side of history when it comes to COVID and whatnot. You might want to rethink that as we're seeing Daniel Smith not only going after ivermectin clinics, as we saw with Dr. William Mackis, but now news has broken out that Alberta is now ushering digital IDs. Wait a second. You're telling me this ultra right-wing conservative that people thought was a lunatic for going down and talking to Donald Trump. Now you're telling me she's doing everything that the Liberal Party is also doing, that all politicians are doing because they're all coordinating together under one specific agenda? Turns out, yes. Daniel Smith is no different than any other politician in Canada. Just like how people think Doug Ford is this progressive conservative fighting for Ontario, but he kisses the ass, he kisses the ring of the federal government, proving that no matter what party you vote for, you're going to end up in the same route anyway. This game of democracy has finally been exposed, folks, and now Daniel Smith is exposing herself for being part of this big, giant club that you and I ain't it. Just like the George Carlin bit. So, this is coming out of Yukon Strawn saying, unfortunately, Premier Daniel Smith announces the first phases of a digital ID. Without a bulletproof constitution guaranteeing privacy and basic human rights, digital ID will likely lead to social credit and more COVID-era power abuse. And what makes me just so angered by this and just why I want to show it is because Daniel Smith, out of all the other premiers, was the most vocal when it came to the COVID lockdown. She was on point when it came to, hey, shutting kids away from school is damaging their health, it's damaging their mental abilities, it's damaging to their learning, and they're farther behind now than before the pandemic. So she was on point with this. She was on point with that. She was on point with having an outsider, nonpartisan investigator to look into the COVID vaccines. But now we're seeing the true side of her. Because in order for her to remain as premier before getting ousted by the rest of the bigwigs, she has to bend the knee somehow. And this is probably the most nefarious way to do that. So watch Daniel Smith, her announcement here on trying to incorporate Alberta, the supposed Texas of Canada, into this heinous digital ID system. Watch this.
Goal is to use advances in technology to make life simpler, easier, and more convenient for Albertans. And I'm happy to say we are doing that with a new app. It's called the Alberta Wallet, and it's designed to let you carry and manage government-issued documents on your mobile devices. The new mobile health card is the first of its kind in Canada, and you can show it or scan it at hospitals and clinics as proof of health insurance coverage in Alberta.
In the future, the wallet could...
Oh, think of how convenient that is. Because before, I just had to carry a card that people have been doing for eras now. And now I could just put that onto a phone so that some government agency and a private company that's building and manufacturing this app can track and surveil all this data and get access to medical records. Thank you, Daniel Smith. I never realized how convenient it is for more mass surveillance into my life. Thank God. Because, phew, it's so exhausting to have a card and carry a card around in a wallet and give it directly to the person so that the person in charge of healthcare, my doctor, my nurse, whoever it is, we have a basic trust and back and forth. But no, we're going to trust that towards government agencies. it's so insane. It's so insane, so dystopian. And Daniel Smith's cheering this as like, oh, it's a first for Canada. Alberta. And this is the same premier that Mark Carney, the rest of the liberal establishment, all the media outlets wanted to demonize her for being some sort of traitor and outsider. Here she is announcing, hey, we're the first to incorporate a digital ID to Albertans. Wow. All right, let's hear what this guy's
include
said.
other documents like marriage or birth certificates, high school or post-secondary transcripts, journeyman or trade certificates, and much more. I'm proud to have worked with Minister Lagrange on the Mobile Health Card Initiative, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of the things that we will be adding to the Alberta Wallet to solidify Alberta as the most innovative jurisdiction in Canada.
Hi,
Why? Who asked for this? Who asked for this? Who thought that, oh my God, carrying a card is such work that I'm going to put this all onto my mobile phone by an app created by a private company incorporated with government agencies to track and monitor surveillance? Who thought of this? Who regular person in Canada? What regular adult is looking at this and going, yes, this is such a great idea? Because we know what digital IDs lead into. We know what technocracy leads into. We know where this is heading towards. And we know that the Bank of Canada is definitely interested in this. We know that the WEF has always stated that we need to get ourselves into a digital ID and a digital currency so we can have vast control over mass amounts of the population. We know why they're involved with this. Why would Daniel Smith think of this as a great idea? After everything that she did kind of right in regards of Canada and COVID and fighting for the workers in the energy sector and going after Mark Carney and going down to Trump and going down to Mar-a-Lago and giving an extension on the tariff because she had good negotiation skills. I praised her on that. I praised her when she did right things. Now, it just seems like a complete 180. I feel like I'm not even looking at Daniel Smith. I feel like this is some sort of clone that they created to do the opposite side, like an evil twin. Because this goes against everything Daniel Smith is supposed to be about. This is stuff I imagine Mark Carney would be saying right now. But Daniel Smith is congratulating herself on this.
Case Canadian Press. On the app announcement today, you mentioned steps that are being taken to ensure personal information is safe. Can you give some background on how this was developed, who was involved in developing this?
Let me turn that over to Minister Glubish, who is our lead.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So we led the development of the wallet in the core infrastructure that will be the repository for these government-issued documents. And then we partnered with Minister Lagrange's department on the issuance of the mobile health card into that wallet. So we've built the standards and the security and the encryption and all of the systems that these that these government documents will be issued in accordance with. It is all in alignment with our world-class privacy legislation and protections in this province. For me, it was as simple as this. If we are going to give a tool like this to Albertans to use, I want to make sure it's something that I'm comfortable using, and I want to make sure that there is no chance that that anybody can see how I'm using this card, using this wallet. That's up to me. And so that's what I'm confident that I can tell to Albertans is that you are in control of how you use this. Government can't see how you use this. We are simply there in the same way that today our job is to issue a paper card.
And again, what was wrong with just having a simple card? What is wrong with having a simple card that I can use in transaction directly from myself to a medical professional? What was wrong with this? What was wrong with it that you have to transform it into this one obvious surveillance app that's going to incorporate all this data, this personal information that now I'm just giving off to these agencies and to this private company for God knows what? Oh, but we're going to make sure it's private. We're going to make sure everything's safe. Right. I don't know if anyone's ever sat down and read those terms and agreements, terms of services contracts, the big giant block of gobbledygook, the legal formation that they put on the end of, when you sign up for an app or whatever. But there's a lot of tells. There's a lot of between the lines. There's a lot of legality that they try to persuade people, but they don't state the obvious truth. And the obvious truth to this is we want to take as much data from Alberta and Albertans as possible. And by we, I mean the people manufacturing this app. I mean government agencies. So they have control over you. So they can look at you and say, oh, Mr. John Smith. Well, turns out here, you have been making unlawful purchases. So we're going to get access to your bank account thanks to this digital ID. And we're going to access your bank account and freeze it. Because you're donating to a cause that we don't believe is safe for our country. Or whatever the case may be. Like, we're already seeing instances happening right now. This is just a major leap. And the fact that Alberta, out of all places, Alberta is making this huge jump into digital IDs is just shocking. It is shocking to me. Not even other premiers go to the level of what she's doing here. She's announcing this like it's some sort of, grand prize on The Price is Right. It's a showcase showdown. Congratulations! You now have to give up your personal data to government bigwigs and agencies that are going to mass surveil you. Yay! Don't you feel so good? Don't you feel like a good citizen of Canada? After all the times that she's mentioned about the charters and rights and freedoms and defended people when it came to not getting the jab, now, with the digital ID, they're going to obviously track and surveil if you got the jab or not. Because all your medical records are going to be there. All your bank account information is going to be on there. Hey, you don't need to carry around a wallet because everything's going to be digitized. And when everything becomes digitized, that gives these idiots, these ghoulish beings, permission to mass surveil on you. There's a reason the saying goes, cash is king. Cash is king. You don't have a money trail. You don't have big entities watching you and making decisions on your behalf. There's a reason for that. And now a lot of places you're starting to see that they're not accepting cash. Which I can't believe that's a thing. I can't believe that places don't accept legal currency. Like, that should be illegal. That should call for that restaurant or whatever to be shut down. That's just how crazy that is. You can't accept cash, but you want everyone to transform all their information, put all their precious personal data into an application and trying to sell it to people as some sort of convenient factor. Oh, it's convenient. Because, all the times that people have carried around wallets all these years, woo, it's just tiresome. Wow. Just so crazy. So here, this is from the Calgary Herald. Province launches digital Alberta wallet. Introduce a mobile health card. Alberta wallet can serve as platform for storing additional Alberta-issued documents. So it's not just a health card. It's also going to be your driver's license. It's also going to be your deed to the house. It's going to be your property taxes. It's going to be everything. Anything that has to do with the province of Alberta or any government entity or anything at this point, because we know that through metadata, through algorithms, through AI, that they can capture data outside application if it's connected somehow to this application. We know that there's a process for that. So this is going to take as much data from you as possible. And when you give someone huge amounts of data on you, that gives them power. That gives them power. Knowledge is power. When they know more about you, you gave them the ultimate authority to control you. This is turning everyone into a digitized slave. That's not a hyperbole. That's for fact this is happening. So it says Albertans will have a new option to carry government-issued documents inside their personal mobile devices with the launch of the Alberta Wallet on Friday. To help modernize government service delivery in the province, the first document that can be added to wallets will be a mobile health card, the first of its kind in Canada, touted as a faster and more convenient way to interact with the healthcare system. It's convenient. It's convenient. How many times have I heard that before? It's convenient. Makes things easier for you. Think of how much exhaustion there is to carry documents. Think of how exhausting it is that for years, for generations, since the dawning of the healthcare system, that people had to carry around a specific card. Now we're just going to throw it all to a phone app. Wow. It amazes me that they could just keep repeating this and hoping that people will stick to this and not realize how obvious this scam is. How obvious this is. It's not convenient for you. It's convenient for them. It's convenient for them to have access to all this information. Oh, you need surgery? Well, according to your health app here, we don't think you can get surgery. We're canceling it because we don't want to pay for your services. That's kind of where it's leading to. And what's just more daunting about this, so this is from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom. It says people are waking up to the dangers of a mandatory digital ID, and polls show Canadians are resistant to this comprehensive control system. The federal government has nonetheless hired experts to determine the best approach to implementing the system. So they're defying Canadians' interest. They're defying the national interest against a digital ID system, and they're resorting to experts to manipulate and brainwash people. That's why they tell people how convenient it is, how faster it is. You don't have to go through your purse to look for these documents. You can just pull it up in a phone app. Learn more about digital IDs by reading our report on central digital currencies. You can download here through their website. So this is why this is happening. They want control over you. They want total control over you. And like I said, we've seen implementations. We've seen what happened with the Freedom Convoy when they went after their bank accounts, how easy it was to access that information and just shut their bank accounts down like a light switch. Imagine having that to the extent of controlling your health, controlling what groceries you're allowed to buy, what purchases you're allowed to make, what you're supporting, what social media posts you're allowed to publish. This is going to give ultimate access to government agencies to turn you into their little puppet slave. This is turning everything into a dark, technological, feudalist society that Canadians know about this and are against this immensely. But they're still going to do it. They're still going to do it. And it's not even Alberta. Even though Alberta is the one announcing this, making, patting themselves on the back for this. But look at this. In Quebec, Canada, they're starting to force people into digital ID. Soon it will be impossible to pay tickets in person. They also convert the DMV into appointments only. You need the digital ID to take an appointment. So this idea that, it's only voluntary, that people don't have to subscribe to a digital ID, well, they're going to mandate it to you no matter what. It's like the COVID jabs. Well, we're not mandating people to take it, but if you want to have a job, you're going to have to get jabbed. If you want to go to school, you're going to have to comply. If you want to go on a bus or a train or a plane, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to go to a restaurant, you want to go outside to a park, you want to do anything socially interactive outside your own house, yeah, you're going to have to bend the knee and comply. That's what they're doing with this. That's what they're doing with this. They're going to make it impossible to pay parking tickets in person. And the only way to contact the DMV is you're required to have a digital ID. So they're making this a mandate without telling you it's a mandate. How about this one? This is from Ontario. This is back in 2021. Digital ID. Told you it was coming to Canada. In 2021, Ontario, under Conservative Doug Ford, was the first to pilot out. Now Canada will roll out with this. They even list the World Economic Forum as their partner in the new $20 billion digital ID ecosystem. The webpage is still up, and they're not even trying to hide it. So this should just conclude to people that politicians, no matter who you vote for, Conservative, Liberal, NDP, Green Party, Bloc Québécois, Independent, even the People's Party, they're going to be captured by this because Canada's already been captured. Your Canadian sovereignty is already gone, with or without Donald Trump. It's already been captured by the World Economic Forum. It's already captured by this ghoulish globalist mafia that wants to implement this. Why? So they can have mass control over huge amounts of the population. And they're going to wave this in front of you until you comply. Even though they're not saying that this is mandatory and they're saying, well, it's voluntary and you don't have to sign up for a digital ID, you could see that they're tricking people into this. They're trying to force people into this no matter what. Oh, well, you don't have to sign up for a digital ID, but you want to access your health care, your health card, you want to access your driver's license, you want to pay for a ticket or a fine, you're going to kind of have to do it. This is how they're tricking people. And this is from Ontario. So now Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, and for the rest of Canada, this is from Paul Mitchell, who states Canadians just told the Bank of Canada that under no circumstances do we want a central bank digital currency. So what'd they do? They did it anyway. They did it anyway. They defied against the Canadian population to roll out this digital ID currency. Why? Because Canadians don't control Canada. The World Economic Forum does. The ghoulish mafia of the world, the globalist empire, this neoliberal dystopian empire controls Canada. We don't have a say anymore of this country. So while people were chanting elbows up and worried that Donald Trump is going to turn Canada to the 51st state, what they should be worried about is the fact that Canadian sovereignty is already gone. Already gone. When they're rolling out stuff like this. And look at this. This is an article from the Epoch Times. Bank of Canada trademarks digital Canadian dollar. The move comes despite public consultations that found a large majority of Canadians, 85%, say they will not use a digital currency. 85% of the country does not want this, but they did it anyway. And they're not mandating it. It's voluntary, but we're going to force people into this one way or another. Hey, you want to pay for your parking ticket that we did? Oh, you're going to have to sign up for digital ID. Hey, you need to book an appointment with the DMV? Yeah, you're going to have to sign up for digital ID. Just like they did with COVID, now they're doing it with this. They found a scheme. They found a gimmick to get people, to bait people into this garbage. And here is everyone's favorite investigative journalist who's been covering all this, and I've been reading her book. It's fantastic, One Nation Under Blackmail. This is Whitney Webb, who knows a lot about technocracy, the global empire, knows about this stuff. And here's her little breakdown. She was on a podcast, I believe, here. Here's her breakdown on digital IDs and what this whole system is going to do, not only for Canadians, but all the other governments and administrations that are also implementing this. This is going to take humanity into a dark, dystopian nightmare. And it's coming faster than you believe. Watch this.
There's a coordinated global policy push for digital IDs as the new form of government-issued identification credentials. And they're essentially all based on your biometric data, which can be your fingerprints, your face, the iris of your eyeball. And the idea is essentially to collect all of that data and have it housed or have it tied directly to your digital ID. So your physical ID will be mapped to the digital ID. Digital IDs are not really a separate project from CBDCs and this new digital financial system. And UN documentation and also documentation from the Bank of International Settlements, they very overtly state that CBDCs and digital IDs are meant to go together. And without digital IDs, the CBDC digital finance system cannot exist. One of the reasons it can't exist without that is because of the KYC functionality built into this digital financial system. They have the know your customer protocols. They have to know who you are. And so they want to have your wallet tied to a digital ID and have that digital ID be mapped to your physical ID through the biometric data collection. So there's different efforts to make digital IDs either as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. There's also the efforts of Sam Altman of OpenAI and his WorldCoin project, whereby you scan your iris, you give them the biometric credentials of your eyeball. They give you a unique identifier, a digital ID, and it's inherently tied to a digital wallet. That is the same model the UN is using. They've already implemented it for refugees getting food assistance from the World Food Program. It's called Building Blocks. It's on blockchain. It involves refugees scanning their irises, and in order to buy food or receive their rations, they have to check out of a grocery store style place in the refugee camp, and they check out biometrically with an eyeball scan, and then the amount of food they have, the monetary value of that is subtracted from their digital wallet connected to their digital ID and their iris. So ID 2020, the UN and other stakeholders in this particular sphere often argue that the reason this is necessary is because of what they call the identity gap. And the identity gap is the claim that the lack of digital ID is preventing people, mainly the world's poor, from accessing essential services, whether it's banking, whether it's education, whether it's healthcare. They claim the only way for these people to be able to access these services is to onboard them to these identity schemes.
Wow. I mean, you've seen all the 80s movies that kind of predict this. You've seen all, Hollywood building up this narrative of, total control, how, as technology progresses, it's going to lead down this path. Well, now it's happening. It's happening. People, say about the Great Reset. It's already happening. It's already happening, folks. Like, it's not let's see what happens. It's already here. It's already here. Whether you like it or not. The World Economic Forum, for years before even announcing this into certain provinces and certain countries and certain leaders, have already implemented this. They've already, stated that, hey, we're, getting this corporation getting involved in this project, and we're enticing them into mass surveillance. We're tracking your biometrics. We want people to scan their eyes to get food supplies. Like, what? And they claim that this is somehow helping poor people. Somehow it's helping poor people to turn them even more to a slave. Wow. Wow. First it was a convenient factor. Now it's about poor people. They can't access food without, mass surveillance, without Big Brother watching over you and determining whether you're allowed to get food supplies and rations or not. So it's sickening, folks. It's absolutely sickening that this is happening. And unfortunately, there's no way to stop the top 1% ghouls. There's no way to stop the World Economic Forum from doing this, because it's been their project book for how many years they've been trying to implement this. But what I can say, and what I encourage people to do, especially after witnessing this, is call up your representatives. Call your representatives in Alberta, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, BC, wherever this is implemented, wherever there's a news article talking about how your premiers, how, provinces are doing this. Even call up your federal representatives on this and tell them how dangerous this is. Tell them you do not want to live in a technological, sci-fi, pseudo-reality, dystopian nightmare. How we have survived throughout centuries without having to implement this heinous nightmare. And that we would not survive as people through these metrics. That this is purposely for the top 1% of the 1%, the top mafia men, the ghouls that truly control the world, to have full takeover of everything in your life. Through your health, your finances, your thoughts, your posts, social media, everything. They want full control over you, and this is how they're implementing this. And they tell you that it's only voluntary and it's making things more convenient, so you might want to look into this. Well, at the same time, telling you, hey, you can't go to a DMV without having digital ID. You can't pay for parking tickets anymore. You can't use cash at certain stops now. Cash! Legal currency. They're refusing to take unless people subscribe to a digital currency. So tell your representatives you do not want this, and if they want to remain in their position to represent us, then they better listen to you. They better start understanding that 85% of the population, and I would say it's even higher than that, don't want this. They do not want this whatsoever. I don't want it. You don't want it. I'm sure everybody else with a clear conscience does not want this. So why are politicians rolling over? Why is Daniel Smith rolling over and patting herself on the back for doing this to Alberta, of all places? It's really just insidious.